There's a moment in everyone's life when they realize something brutal. They're busy, but not productive, running faster, but getting nowhere, waking up tired, working hard, staying late, and yet feeling that invisible frustration that whispers, you could do more, you were meant for more. If you've ever stared at your to-do list and felt that mix of guilt and fatigue, you're not alone. Millions of people are stuck in the same invisible trap, doing more, achieving less. But here's a secret most people never learn. High performance isn't about doing more. It's about operating in the right mode at the right time. There are 3 hidden modes that determine everything about your day, your success, your creativity, your results, even your happiness. Focus, energy, recovery. Most people live their entire lives switching randomly between these states without control. They fight distraction with caffeine, push through exhaustion with willpower, and call burnout hard work. But high performers, the ones who seem unstoppable, know something different. They know how to enter focus mode like flipping a mental switch. They know how to generate energy when everyone else is drained. And they know how to recover deeply. So they wake up sharper, not slower. This book is about learning those 3 modes, mastering them, controlling them, and turning your life into a system that actually works for you, not against you. You see, the truth is, you're not lazy, you're unaligned. Your mind, your energy, and your recovery are out of sync, like 3 powerful engines pulling in different directions. When you align them, everything changes. Tasks that felt impossible become effortless. Ideas come naturally. Focus lasts for hours. And instead of burning out, you start to build momentum day after day. This isn't motivation. This is mechanics. Every world-class athlete, top CEO, and creative genius operates with some version of these 3 modes. They might not call them focus, energy, recovery, but the principle is universal. They know when to push, when to recharge, and when to lock in. In this book, you'll learn how to do the same, not through unrealistic hustle harder advice, but through science, psychology, and tested methods that actually rewire how your brain and body perform. You'll learn how to enter deep focus in less than 3 minutes, even if you're constantly distracted. How to generate clean energy, not the kind that fades after coffee, but the sustainable drive that lasts. How to recover faster, sleep better, and rebuild motivation when you hit the wall. How to cycle between modes so you never burn out again. Imagine this. You wake up and your mind feels clear. No fog, no chaos. You sit down, open your laptop, and within minutes, you're in that silent tunnel where work flows effortlessly. Your body feels light, your ideas sharp. You finish more in 2 hours than most people do all day, and when you stop, you actually feel good. That's not a fantasy. It's a system, and by the end of this book, you'll know exactly how to build it. But here's the catch. This isn't a book you just read. It's a book you use. Each chapter is a tool. Each concept is a switch. If you take them seriously, if you actually apply them, you will feel the difference within days. The rules of performance have changed. We no longer live in an age where effort equals results. Now, the winners are the ones who know how to control their state. You're about to join them. Chapter 1. Most people believe that focus is about discipline, about forcing yourself to sit down and grind through distractions. But that's not true. Focus isn't about control. It's about state. Think of your brain as a radio. You can't force it to play clear music by shouting at it. You have to tune it to the right frequency. The same goes for your attention. When you're tuned in, focus feels effortless. You disappear into what you're doing. Time bends. Distractions fade, and what took hours suddenly takes minutes. The question is, how do you find that frequency? The science of focus begins in your brain. Inside your skull, a small network called the reticular activating system, RAS, acts like a filter. It decides what's important enough for you to notice. Right now, it's filtering out the hum of your environment, the feeling of your clothes on your skin, even the sound of your own breathing, because it believes these things don't matter. But when you decide something does matter, a goal, a deadline, a person, your RAS tunes itself toward it. That's why when you buy a red car, you start seeing red cars everywhere. Your brain literally begins to highlight what aligns with your intention. So focus isn't about fighting distractions. It's about teaching your brain what to care about. Here's the problem. In our modern world, most people's attention is hijacked. Notifications, messages, dopamine hits. All of it trains the brain to expect novelty, not depth. Each ping, each scroll, each new thing is a microdose of stimulation. And soon, the brain becomes addicted to shallow attention. That's why it feels hard to concentrate. Not because you lack discipline, but because your brain has been reprogrammed for distraction mode. To reverse this, you must retrain your focus system, not through willpower, but through structure. The first rule of high-performance focus is elimination before concentration. You can't focus better until you first remove what steals your focus. Start small. Turn off notifications. Clear your desk. Use noise-canceling headphones or ambient sounds that fade into the background. Every small reduction in friction increases your brain's ability to lock in. But there's a second rule, one most people miss. Focus requires a clear target. The brain hates ambiguity. If you start your day thinking, I'll work on this project, it doesn't know what that means. It can't visualize success, so it resists. If instead you tell yourself, I'll finish the introduction to this report by 10:30, the brain locks in because it knows what done looks like. Focus thrives on clarity. Another essential ingredient is the focus trigger, a ritual that tells your brain it's time to switch modes. It could be as simple as sitting in the same chair, playing a specific playlist, or even opening a blank document. The key is consistency. When repeated often enough, your brain associates the trigger with deep work. Soon, just the act of doing it automatically shifts you into focus mode. This is why top athletes and performers use pre-game rituals. They're not superstitions, they're neurological switches. So ask yourself, what's your trigger? What small, repeatable action could you use to tell your brain, we're entering focus now? Once you prepare the environment and set a clear target, the final step is managing your focus cycles. Your brain can only maintain deep concentration for a limited time, usually 45 to 90 minutes before performance drops. After that, your attention fragments, your energy drains, and you start making mistakes. The solution is to work with your brain, not against it. Use what psychologists call ultradian rhythms, natural 90-minute cycles of alertness and fatigue. Work deeply for one cycle, then rest for 10 to 15 minutes. Step away, move, breathe. This isn't laziness, it's neurobiology. When you return, your brain will reset, and focus will come back sharper. High performers don't grind endlessly. They pulse between intense focus and deliberate rest. But there's one more truth most people overlook. Focus is emotional. When you're stressed, anxious, or bored, your brain releases cortisol, and that chemical chaos destroys attention. You can't focus if your nervous system is in fight or flight mode. So before you try to work, calm your body first. A few deep breaths, a short walk, Even 2 minutes of silence can reset your emotional baseline. You can't think clearly if your biology is screaming for safety. That's why the world's best thinkers, from artists to CEOs, protect their mental calm before doing any serious work. Focus isn't something you do, it's something you enter. When you master the science of focus, you realize something extraordinary. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. You need to protect your attention like it's your most valuable currency. Because it is. Your ability to control your focus determines everything else. Your energy, your recovery, your results. It's the first gear in a high-performance engine. So before you chase productivity hacks or miracle routines, do this one thing. Learn to tune your own frequency. Once you do, the world will quiet down and your mind will finally start to sing. Chapter 2. Most people believe that energy is something you have or don't have. They wake up tired, drink coffee, push through the day, and think fatigue means I need more rest. But that's only half true. Energy isn't a static resource. It's a skill. You don't just get energy. You create it. And those who learn how to do it consciously, regardless of sleep, weather, or mood, are the ones who stay ahead when everyone else slows down. Let's start with a simple truth. Your body is an electrical system. Every thought, every emotion, every muscle contraction, all of it runs on bioelectricity. Your brain burns 20% of your body's total energy, even though it's only 2% of your weight. That means when your mind is scattered, anxious, or overloaded, your body leaks energy like a broken circuit. So when people say they're tired, what they often mean is this: my energy is being wasted by things that don't matter. The secret to high performance isn't to find more energy, it's to stop losing it. The first drain on your energy is mental clutter. Every unfinished task, every unmade decision, every open loop in your head consumes cognitive fuel. It's called attention residue, the psychological leftovers from switching between tasks. When you check your messages mid-work or think about that email you forgot to send, a piece of your focus stays there, burning energy quietly in the background. To fix this, create a mental offload ritual. At the end of each day, write down every unfinished task, worry, or thought loop on paper. Get it out of your brain. Don't judge, just empty. This simple act tells your mind, you don't have to hold this anymore. High performers protect their energy by protecting their mental RAM. The second drain is unmanaged emotion. Anger, resentment, guilt, anxiety. All of them are massive energy leaks. They keep your body in a constant state of tension. The nervous system stays activated. Heart rate slightly elevated, muscles tight, thoughts looping. Even if you don't notice, your energy is being quietly siphoned away. You can't operate at full power if your system is emotionally jammed. That's why recovery, which we'll explore later, isn't just physical. It's also emotional hygiene. You must clear emotional noise with the same discipline you clear your inbox. Sometimes that means journaling. Sometimes that means taking a long walk or a quiet drive. Sometimes it's as simple as forgiving yourself for not being perfect. Because the truth is, tension is expensive. Calm is free. The third factor is biological rhythm. Your body runs on cycles, circadian rhythms, hormone waves, temperature shifts. Energy isn't constant throughout the day. It rises and falls like tides. Most people fight this rhythm. They try to be alert when their biology wants rest, and rest when their system is wired for action. That's like rowing against the current. High performance energy comes from syncing with your natural rhythm, not forcing against it. Notice when you naturally feel sharp, morning, afternoon, night. Protect those hours for deep work. Guard them ruthlessly. And during your low energy hours, do mechanical tasks, rest, or recharge. Working with your rhythm doubles your output without extra effort. Now, let's talk about the biggest myth in productivity. Motivation creates energy. Wrong. Energy creates motivation. Think about it. Have you ever been excited about something but physically exhausted? The excitement fades fast. But when your body feels alive, alert, ready, motivation flows naturally. That's why movement is the fastest way to shift your state. You don't need to run a marathon. You just need to move. Stand up, stretch, breathe. A single minute of movement sends oxygen to your brain, releases dopamine, resets your posture, and wakes your nervous system. Energy isn't built by thinking. It's built by doing. And yet, there's a deeper layer, energetic alignment. You can have sleep, nutrition, exercise, and still feel drained. Why? Because your actions don't align with what you value. When you spend your days doing things that don't matter to you, pleasing others, chasing the wrong goals, saying yes when you mean no, you create what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. It's the invisible drag that slows your inner drive. On the other hand, when you do things that are meaningful, even difficult ones, your system gives you energy instead of draining it. That's why a 12-hour day doing something you love can leave you energized, while a 2-hour meeting you hate can make you feel like collapsing. Purpose is fuel. So, when you feel exhausted, ask yourself, is my body tired? Or is my soul resisting what I'm doing? Here's the paradox of energy. The more you give it to the right things, the more you have. Focus generates energy. Movement generates energy. Meaning generates energy. But resistance, stress, and noise kill it. The people who appear naturally high energy aren't superhuman. They've just mastered energy flow. They live in sync with their rhythm, eliminate what drains them, and feed what fuels them. You can do the same, starting today. Try this. Move for 60 seconds before every work session. Offload mental clutter each night. Choose one activity each day that aligns with something you truly care about. Do that for a week. Your body will start to change how it feels. Not from coffee, not from hype, but from clarity. Because the truth is simple. Energy is not what you think. It's not caffeine, sleep, or motivation. It's alignment in motion. And once you learn to generate it, you'll never again wake up asking, how do I get through today? Instead, you'll ask, what can I create with the energy I already have? Chapter 3. Most people treat recovery as a reward, something you earn after the work is done. But that mindset is backward. Recovery isn't the opposite of work. It's part of work. Without it, focus fades, energy crashes, and performance collapses. Every high performer, athlete, entrepreneur, artist, understands this fundamental truth. Recovery is not rest. It's preparation. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing what recharges the system. Think of your body and mind like a bow and arrow. If you never relax the string, it loses tension. The arrow loses distance. The archer loses aim. That's what constant work without recovery does to your life. It dulls your precision and kills your power. Modern culture glorifies a grind. Sleep when you're dead, keep pushing, no days off. But biology doesn't care about slogans. If you keep the gas pedal pressed forever, your system burns out. Recovery is how you keep the engine running fast without breaking it. Let's start with the science. Every time you focus, your brain consumes glucose and oxygen. Your neurons fire in synchronized patterns, creating intense electrical activity. But this process produces metabolic waste, small byproducts that cloud the brain and slow thinking. When you sleep or take breaks, the glymphatic system clears those toxins out. That's why rest improves clarity. It's not laziness, it's literally brain maintenance. This means that skipping recovery doesn't make you stronger, it makes you stupider. You're not tired because you're weak. You're tired because your system is begging for cleanup. There are 3 layers of recovery: micro, macro, and emotional. Micro recovery happens throughout the day, the short pauses between bursts of focus. These are your resets: a 5-minute walk, a deep breath, looking out the window, stretching. Tiny acts that recalibrate your nervous system. If you ignore them, stress accumulates quietly until it explodes into fatigue. Macro recovery happens over days or weeks: sleep, weekends, vacations. This is where your body repairs muscle tissue, restores hormone balance, and consolidates memory. Without it, your productivity curve flattens, no matter how motivated you are. And then there's emotional recovery, the most overlooked kind. You can sleep 8 hours and still wake up exhausted if your mind is carrying unprocessed emotion. Grief, anger, guilt, shame. They're emotional toxins that clog the system. The only cure is honesty. Talk, journal, reflect, cry. Let the nervous system release what it's holding. True recovery happens when your body, mind, and heart all reset together. Here's something the best in the world understand. Performance is a rhythm, not a race. Like music, it is peaks and rests, tension and release. Without silence, sound is just noise. Without pauses, productivity is just chaos. When you start to view your work as a rhythm, focus, energy, recovery, repeat, everything changes. You stop fighting fatigue and start managing it. You stop resenting rest and start using it. That's how high performance states become sustainable. You probably heard of the term flow state, that magical zone where work feels effortless and time disappears. What few people realize is that flow depends on recovery. Flow requires full engagement, and full engagement requires full renewal. Without rest, your brain can't reach flow. It's too exhausted to balance the neurochemistry. Think of flow as the wave. Recovery is the ocean underneath it. Without the ocean, the wave can't rise. Now, here's the paradox. Most people try to force recovery. They schedule time off, but fill with noise, scrolling screens, endless stimulation. They never truly unplug. Their bodies are lying down, but their minds are sprinting. Real recovery happens in disconnection. That means moments where you let yourself be unreachable. Moments with no input, just stillness, movement, or nature. A quiet morning walk without headphones. A shower without music. 10 minutes of silence after work. At first, it feels uncomfortable, like boredom. But what you're actually feeling is your nervous system remembering what peace feels like. Here's a simple rule. Recovery starts when stimulation stops. No phone, no talking, no multitasking. Just you breathing, moving, letting your system recalibrate. This isn't luxury, it's maintenance. And the more pressure you carry, the more you need it. When your recovery improves, everything else does too. Focus becomes easier. Energy stabilizes. Creativity returns. You stop working from tension and start working from flow. To build your rhythm of recovery, start small. Schedule a 15-minute break after every 90 minutes of deep work. Protect 1 hour every evening to disconnect completely. Once a week, take a no-input morning. No phone, no news, no screens for first hour. Every few months, Plan a full reset. A day with no goals, no plans, no pressure. These are not escapes. They are recalibrations. The better you recover, the higher you can perform consistently, effortlessly, sustainably. You'll know your recovery rhythm is working when you start to feel this shift. You no longer crave breaks out of exhaustion. You choose them out of wisdom. That's when you've left the cycle of burnout and entered the rhythm of performance. Chapter 4. There's a difference between working and producing real results. Most people spend their days reacting, answering messages, switching tasks, feeling busy. But busyness isn't productivity. It's performance theater. Deep work is the opposite. It's what happens when your attention narrows, your mind quiets, and you move into that silent tunnel where progress feels natural. Deep work isn't about time. It's about depth. An hour in deep work can outperform 10 hours of scattered effort. But here's the hard truth. Deep work doesn't happen by accident. It must be designed, triggered, and protected. Let's start with a simple idea. Shallow work keeps you alive. Deep work changes your life. Shallow work is reactive, checking, answering, scrolling, managing. It's the noise that fills most of your schedule. Deep work, on the other hand, is creative construction. It's writing the chapter, solving the hard problem, crafting the idea, designing the system. It's the work that matters, but also the work your brain resists the most. Why? Because deep work feels uncomfortable. It forces your brain to concentrate fully, and that level of focus burns mental energy. That's why most people unconsciously run from it, by checking phones, opening tabs, or finding urgent distractions. So the first step to mastering deep work is to expect resistance. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that your brain is entering a high gear mode, the one that separates average results from excellence. The foundation of deep work is environment design. Your brain associates spaces with behaviors. When you work in the same room where you relax, scroll, or eat, your mind gets mixed signals. But when you dedicate a single space or context for deep work, even a specific corner of your desk, your brain starts recognizing it as a trigger. Light a candle, close the door, put on the same playlist. Repeat the same start ritual every time. Soon, your system learns. This is where we go deep. The goal is to reduce friction, the number of decisions you need to make before starting. Because deep work doesn't begin when you want it to. It begins when you remove every excuse not to. Next, you need clear intention. Deep work thrives on clarity, not vague ambition. Don't sit down to work on your project. Sit down to finish the first section or solve the one critical issue. The brain commits more easily to small, concrete targets. Each completed target feeds dopamine back into the system, reinforcing your focus loop. And here's the secret. Once you start, your brain naturally wants to stay in motion. It's called the Zygarnik effect. Our mind hates unfinished business. So the hardest part isn't staying in deep work. It's starting it. The trick is to make starting effortless. The third pillar is time blocking. Deep work demands undisturbed time. You can't enter deep focus in a world of interruptions. Neuroscientists say it takes around 20 minutes of continuous concentration to reach a true flow state, and just one small interruption can kick you out of it completely. That means you can't just fit in deep work between meetings or messages. You must schedule it. Block a chunk of time, 60, 90, or 120 minutes, and protect it like a sacred appointment. No notifications, no multitasking, no checking. At first, your mind will rebel. It will crave stimulation, novelty, escape. Ignore it. Breathe. Stay still. Within minutes, your brain will settle, and then suddenly you'll feel the click, that internal silence that says, now we're in. Here's something few people realize. Deep work rewires your brain. Every time you enter deep concentration, you strengthen the neural circuits of attention and resistance to distraction. It's like training a muscle. The more you do it, the easier it becomes to sustain it. That's why masters, writers, coders, thinkers, athletes seem to live and flow longer. It's not talent, it's neural conditioning. Your focus system adapts to what you practice. If you constantly multitask, you train distraction. If you consistently go deep, you train mastery. But here's the paradox. The goal of deep work isn't to work more. It's to work less, but with maximum depth. High performers don't fill their days with endless focus sessions. They go deep for short, intense periods, then recover hard. One 90-minute block of true deep work can equal an entire day of shallow productivity. That's why Cal Newport calls deep work a superpower in an age of distraction. It's the modern edge, not because it's complicated, but because almost nobody does it. To make deep work a permanent part of your life, follow this rhythm. Plan your deep sessions in advance. Choose the exact time, place, and task. Create a ritualized start. Light a candle. Stretch, breathe, or listen to one specific track. Eliminate all distractions. Airplane mode. Close tabs. Physical separation from your phone. Set a timer for 90 minutes. Don't stop until it rings. End with intention. Close your laptop. Stand up. Take a slow breath. Tell your brain, session complete. Do this daily, even for one block, and you'll start to feel a shift. Your thoughts will quiet faster. Your work will feel deeper. Your sense of control will grow. The essence of deep work is presence. It's about giving something your whole self, not fragment of attention split between 10 open tabs. When you work deeply, you're not just producing results. You're reclaiming your mind from the noise of the world. And one day, you'll notice something strange. You no longer crave distractions. You crave depth because depth feels better than dopamine. That's when you'll know you've mastered deep work mode. Not because you've learned to fight the world's noise, but because you've learned to become quiet within it. Chapter 5. Multitasking sound impressive. It gives the illusion of power, speed, and efficiency. You picture yourself juggling emails, messages, calls, and tasks like a high-performing machine. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Multitasking is not a strength. It's a productivity killer, wearing a clever disguise. The human brain is not built for parallel thinking. Neuroscience has proven it over and over again. When you switch between tasks, your brain doesn't split focus. It shifts focus. And every shift costs you time, energy, and quality. The more you switch, the more you burn through your mental fuel. It's called attention residue, the leftover mental clutter that stays when you don't finish one task before starting another. Imagine your attention as a spotlight. When you shine it on one task, it's bright, intense, and powerful. But when you try to shine it on 3 things at once, the light dims, the beam scatters. You can't see anything clearly. That's what multitasking does to your mind. It scatters your focus until everything blurs. Here's a real-world example. A software engineer once told me he prided himself on answering Slack messages instantly while coding. But after measuring his output for a month, he found something shocking. The quality of his code dropped by 40%, and it took him 50% longer to complete projects. Why? Because every quick reply forced his brain to reboot back into the code. over and over again. He wasn't working faster. He was constantly resetting. Most people don't realize that multitasking is a form of avoidance. When you jump between tasks, you're not being productive. You're escaping discomfort. It's easier to check your phone or switch to another tab than to stay deep in the slow, hard part of the work. But mastery is born in that depth. It's in the boredom, the repetition, the grind that focus grows stronger. So, how do you break free from the multitasking trap? The first step is awareness. Notice how often you split your attention. Track how many times you switch windows, open your phone, or interrupt yourself. Most people are shocked by what they see. Awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. Once you see the problem, you can't unsee it. The second step is to work in single task blocks. Choose one important task and commit to it fully for 50 minutes. No checking emails. No social media. No second screens. When distractions pop up, write them down in a later list. Instead of reacting, your brain will fight back at first, but within a few sessions, something amazing happens. Your mind calms down, your clarity returns, and time begins to stretch. The third step is to protect transitions. Every time you're in a task, give yourself a mental reset. Stand up, breathe, walk, or stretch. Let your brain close one mental tab before opening another. This small ritual prevents attention residue and keeps your focus clean. And finally, remind yourself of this truth. You can do anything, but not everything. High performers don't try to be everywhere at once. They choose one thing that matters, give their full attention, and move with precision. The world rewards clarity, not chaos. Focus is your true superpower in a distracted age. Multitasking feels productive, but it's just movement without progress, noise without signal. The more you simplify, the faster you go. When you stop trying to do everything, you start doing something extraordinary. Chapter 6. Most people think productivity is about time. It's not. It's about energy. Time is fixed, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But energy, that's flexible. It rises and falls depending on how you live, how you think, and how you move. The difference between someone who achieves in 1 hour what others do in 5 isn't time management. It's energy management. You probably experienced this before. Some days you're unstoppable. Ideas flow, you move fast, and every task feels effortless. Other days, it's like walking through mud. Your brain fogs, your motivation dies, and even simple work feels impossible. The clock doesn't change. What changes is your energy level. Energy is the invisible currency of high performance. The more you have, the more you can give. The less you have, the more everything costs. So, if you want to double your output, don't start with your calendar. Start with your energy equation. There are 3 main types of energy: physical, mental, and emotional. And like the 3 legs of a stool, if one collapses, the whole structure wobbles. Physical energy is your foundation. It's the result of sleep, nutrition, and movement. The unsexy basics most people ignore. You can't out-hustle exhaustion. When you're tired, every task takes longer, every decision feels heavier, and your creativity shuts down. But when you're rested and fueled properly, you make sharper choices, move faster, and handle stress like a pro. One elite entrepreneur I interviewed once said, "I treat my body like a Formula One car. Every component matters." He trained not for aesthetics, but for endurance. He slept like it was a business meeting. He ate with intention, not emotion, because he knew his body was his performance engine. Mental energy, on the other hand, is about clarity and focus. It's drained not just by doing too much, but by thinking too much, the constant background noise of open loops and half decisions. Every unfinished thought burns fuel. That's why journaling, planning, and mental decluttering are so powerful. They free up RAM in your brain. Finally, emotional energy, the one people forget. This is your ability to stay calm under stress, optimistic under pressure, and compassionate toward yourself and others. Emotional fatigue can destroy performance faster than lack of sleep. Anger, guilt, worry, these emotions are heavy. They weigh down your creative mind. Learning to release them is as important as charging your laptop before work. Now, here's where the equation comes in. Energy equals recovery plus purpose. Leakage. Recovery means you recharge intentionally through sleep, rest, and breaks. Purpose gives direction. It's the why behind the effort. Leakage is everything that drains you without giving value. Toxic people, meaningless scrolling, constant notifications, junk food, or working out of guilt instead of passion. If you want to become unstoppable, you have to master this formula. Increase recovery, strengthen purpose, and eliminate leaks. Think about this. Even a Ferrari won't win a race with a hole in the fuel tank. Yet most people run their days with constant leaks, checking messages every 2 minutes, worrying about opinions, staying up too late for no reason. You can't fix that with more caffeine or time hacks. You fix it by closing the leaks. Here's a simple daily habit to restore energy balance. At the end of each day, ask yourself 3 questions. What drained me today? What fueled me today? What will I change tomorrow? It sounds simple, but this reflection builds awareness. Over time, you'll notice patterns, certain people, habits, or thoughts that consistently drain you. Once you spot them, you can redesign your life around energy instead of obligation. Energy isn't about hype or motivation. It's about rhythm. It's the dance between push and pause, action and recovery. The most successful people don't run at full speed all the time. They sprint, rest, and repeat. They understand that high performance is not about constant motion. It's about sustainable motion. Protect your energy like your life depends on it. Because it does. Everything you create, every decision you make, every goal you chase depends on the power within you. When you master your energy, time bends in your favor. Chapter 7. In a culture that glorifies constant hustle, rest has become misunderstood, even vilified. People wear exhaustion like a badge of honor, as if burning out is proof of ambition. But here's the quiet truth that high performers eventually learn the hard way. You don't grow stronger by working nonstop. You grow stronger by recovering deeply. Rest is not laziness. It's strategy. Think about how muscles grow. When you lift weights, you're not actually getting stronger in that moment. You're tearing muscle fibers. The growth happens later, during rest, when your body repairs those fibers and makes them more resilient. Your mind works the same way. Focus, creativity, problem solving, they all rely on recovery. You can't think clearly if your brain never gets a chance to reset. But modern life is built to steal your rest. Notifications buzz, screens glow, and there's always another urgent task waiting for your attention. We live in a world where it's easier to stay busy than to be still. Yet stillness is exactly where renewal happens. Rest isn't just about sleep, though sleep is vital. There are 4 types of rest that create sustainable performance: physical, mental, emotional, and sensory. Physical rest means sleep, but also movement balance, alternating effort with relaxation. For example, standing, walking, or stretching between intense work sessions keeps your body in flow. Neglect this, and tension accumulates in your shoulders, neck, and jaw. Silent signals of overdrive. Mental rest means stepping away from information overload. Your brain can't operate at high intensity forever. Every notification, every scroll, every decision burns mental glucose. When you pause, even for a few minutes, your brain clears the noise, and that's when insights surface. Ever notice how your best ideas come in the shower or during a walk? That's mental rest at work. Emotional rest means allowing yourself to release. Not every moment requires composure, control, or positivity. Sometimes it means crying, journaling, talking it out, or simply being honest about how you feel. Emotional suppression is a silent drain on your energy, like carrying invisible weights every day. And finally, sensory rest. Something few people even think about. It's about disconnecting from overstimulation. Screens, sounds, bright lights, endless scrolling. Your senses are constantly bombarded. Sensory rest happens when you unplug, go outside, or sit in silence without input. It's not wasted time. It's detox time for your nervous system. The secret is to integrate micro rest into your day. Small, intentional pauses that allow you to recharge without losing momentum. A 5-minute walk, a deep breath session, a moment to close your eyes and do nothing. These micro recoveries are like plugging your mind into a charger before it dies. Peak performance happens in waves, not in straight lines. Athletes train in cycles. Push, rest, repeat. Musicians play in rhythm. Sound, silence, sound. But most people try to push endlessly, ignoring the silence part, and then wonder why their motivation collapses. When you rest, you're not slowing down progress. You're preparing for the next surge. One CEO I coached used to brag about working 90-hour weeks until he hit a wall. Burnout, anxiety, brain fog. When he finally embraced structured rest, daily walks, proper sleep, and one digital sunset hour before bed, his clarity skyrocketed. He told me, "I get more done in 6 hours now than I used to in 12. That's not luck, that's rhythm. You can't sprint forever. Even the most powerful engines need to cool. The difference between amateurs and pros is that amateurs see rest as a reward. Pros see it as part of the system, so make it part of yours. Design your days around recovery, not guilt. Protect your evenings. Sleep like it's sacred. Give your brain permission to pause. Because here's the paradox. You perform at your highest only when you honor your lowest. Chapter 8. There's a state where time disappears. Hours feel like minutes. Distractions fade into silence. You're not thinking. You're doing effortlessly, perfectly. This is flow. And when you learn to access it deliberately, your productivity, creativity, and satisfaction multiply tenfold. Flow isn't a myth or a mystical concept. It's a neurochemical reality. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi called it the state of complete absorption in an activity. In this state, your brain releases a cocktail of dopamine, norepinephrine, and endorphins, chemicals that heighten focus, boost motivation, and eliminate self-doubt. It's what athletes call the zone, musicians call being in rhythm, and creators call the magic. But most people only stumble into flow by accident. The secret of high performers is that they build it by design. So, how does flow work? Flow happens in the balance point between challenge and skill. When a task is too easy, you get bored. When it's too hard, you get anxious. But when it's just challenging enough to stretch you without breaking you, your brain fully engages. You lose self-consciousness and performance spikes. Think of it like surfing. If the wave is too small, you just drift. If it's too big, you wipe out. Flow is catching the wave that's just right, demanding enough to command all your focus, but not so overwhelming that it drowns you. Here's how to engineer that state. 1. Eliminate all distractions. Flow requires undivided attention. That means turning off notifications, closing tabs, silencing your phone, and even shutting the door. Every interruption resets your brain's focus timer. It can take up to 20 minutes to fully return to flow after a single distraction. The world doesn't need your constant availability. It needs your best work. 2. Create a ritual of entry. Flow loves familiarity. Build a consistent pre-work ritual that signals to your brain it's time to dive in. The same playlist, the same cup of coffee, the same workspace setup. These cues act like mental switches that help you enter the zone faster. 3. Set a clear goal. Ambiguity kills flow. You can't lose yourself in a task if you don't know what success looks like. Define your target before you start. Write one page, finish one design, solve one problem. The clearer the finish line, the deeper the immersion. 4. Embrace deep work intervals. Flow doesn't come instantly. It builds over time. The first 10 minutes are warm-up. The magic usually starts around minute 25 or 30. That's why deep work sessions, 45 to 90 minutes, are ideal. Protect that window like it's sacred. 5. Leave at the peak. When you're in flow, you'll want to ride it until you burn out. Don't. Stop while it's still good, right before exhaustion hits. That way, you'll end your session with momentum and anticipation for the next one. Hemingway used to stop writing mid-sentence for that exact reason, to leave a spark alive for tomorrow. Flow is more than productivity. It's fulfillment. It's the rare moment when effort feels effortless, when your best self comes alive. It's not about working harder. It's about working deeper. But here's the truth no one tells you. Flow doesn't come from chasing excitement. It comes from mastering boredom. It's the reward for discipline. The person who can stay focused long enough to cross the threshold of distraction is the one who unlocks the zone. If focus is a muscle, flow is a result of perfect tension, not too tight, not too loose. It's balance and motion. When you enter flow regularly, life changes. You stop fighting time. You start dancing with it. Work stops being something you push through and becomes something that pulls you in. The highest performers in every field, from athletes to artists to entrepreneurs, have one thing in common. They protect their flow time fiercely because they know in that state, an hour can be worth 10. So the next time you feel that spark, that deep pull into what you're doing, don't interrupt it. Ride the wave. Protect it. Trust it. Flow isn't magic. It's mastery. And it's available to anyone who's willing to silence the noise and step into the moment fully. Chapter 9. You can have the best habits, the deepest focus, and the clearest mind. But if your body isn't properly fueled, performance crashes. Nutrition is often overlooked in discussions about productivity. Yet it's the foundation of energy, focus, and recovery. Simply put, you are what you eat, and more importantly, you think how you eat. Let's start with a basic truth. Your brain is an energy-intensive organ. Though it's only about 2% of your body weight, it consumes roughly 20% of your daily calories. Every thought, decision, and burst of creativity depends on fuel, glucose, amino acids, and healthy fats. Without it, even your best habits can falter. The first step toward nutritional mastery is understanding energy balance, not in terms of weight, but in terms of consistent fuel. Skipping breakfast, running on caffeine, or relying on sugary snacks creates spikes and crashes. One moment you're alert, The next, you're foggy, irritable, and craving more sugar. High performers avoid this roller coaster. They eat to sustain, not to react. Focus on three pillars: steady energy, cognitive support, and recovery. 1. Steady energy. Prioritize complex carbohydrates, proteins, and healthy fats that release energy gradually. Oats, eggs, nuts, avocados, and whole grains prevent sudden crashes. Pairing protein with complex carbs stabilizes blood sugar and keeps your brain running longer. Avoid refined sugar and processed snacks, which give temporary spikes but long-term drains. 2. Cognitive support. Your brain thrives on nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and micronutrients. Fatty fish, berries, dark leafy greens, and seeds aren't just healthy. They sharpen focus, improve memory, and reduce inflammation. Think of them as fuel for high-octane thinking. 3. Recovery fuel. After intense work or physical activity, your body and brain need repair. Protein for muscles, carbohydrates to restore glycogen, and micronutrients to repair cells. A well-balanced post-work snack, like a smoothie with greens, protein, and healthy fat, accelerates recovery and sets you up for the next performance cycle. Hydration is equally critical. Mild dehydration reduces cognitive function, attention, and alertness. Your brain doesn't just need calories. It needs water. Keep a bottle nearby and sip consistently throughout the day. Timing also matters. Eating large meals during peak focus periods can induce sluggishness. Instead, break nutrition into smaller, purposeful doses that sustain energy without overwhelming the system. Treat food as fuel, not entertainment. Caffeine is a double-edged sword. Used strategically, it can heighten alertness and support deep focus. Abused, it creates dependency, jitters, and crashes. The key is timing and moderation. Morning or early afternoon, never late, and pair with proper nutrition. Supplements can help, but they don't replace fundamentals. Sleep, whole foods, and consistent eating habits outweigh any pill or powder. They can enhance performance, not create from nothing. Finally, consider your mental relationship with food. Eating in distraction, in front of screens, or while rushing, diminishes the benefits. Mindful eating allows digestion, absorption, and satisfaction. It's another form of recovery, honoring your body while fueling your mind. High-performance nutrition is about consistency, quality, and intention. It's not complicated. It's disciplined. When your body is properly fueled, everything else flows. Focus is sharper, decisions are clearer, and energy is sustained. Remember, energy is currency, and food is your most reliable deposit. Spend wisely. Chapter 10. Your morning is the ignition switch for your entire day. Get it right, and everything flows. Focus sharpens, motivation builds, and productivity compounds naturally. Get it wrong, and you spend the rest of the day trying to catch up, dragging mental fog behind you. High performers don't leave their mornings to chance. They design them. They know that the first 60 minutes are sacred, a window where you can either create momentum or lose it. But let's be clear, morning routines aren't about copying what others do. It's not about waking up at 4:30 a.m., taking ice baths, or drinking green smoothies, unless those things serve you. The real purpose of a morning routine is to prime your state, to wake up your body, focus your mind, and align your energy with your priorities. The science backs this up. During the first hour after waking, your brain transitions from delta, deep sleep, waves to alpha and beta waves, a period where your mind is highly suggestible. What you feed it in that window determines your emotional and cognitive tone for the rest of the day. Here's how to build a morning of momentum, one that sets the tone for high performance. 1. Protect the first hour. No phone, no email, no scrolling. The digital world can wait. When you reach for your phone first thing in the morning, you're outsourcing your attention to algorithms. Instead, make the first hour yours to think, plan, move, or simply be. 2. Move your body. You don't need an hour-long workout. Even 5 minutes of stretching, breathing, or light movement signals to your brain that you're alive and ready. Movement triggers dopamine and endorphins, natural energizers that boost mood and focus. Motion creates emotion, and emotion drives action. 3. Center your mind. A few minutes of silence or meditation can completely shift your mental chemistry. Stillness calms the amygdala, the stress center of the brain, and activates the prefrontal cortex, your decision-making powerhouse. You become less reactive, more intentional. 4. Feed the machine. Hydrate first. Your brain dehydrates overnight. Then fuel your body with something real. A glass of water with lemon. A breakfast rich in protein and complex carbs. Skip the sugar spikes. They rob you of steady energy. 5. Define the day. Before diving into work, decide what winning means today. Write down your top 3 priorities, not 20. Most people drown in lists and accomplish little. Clarity beats volume every time. Ask, if I only finish these 3 things, would today count as a success? 6. Prime your purpose. Read something inspiring. Visualize your goals, or listen to something that aligns your mind with what matters. This small ritual conditions your mindset, like an athlete warming up before a game. Morning momentum isn't about perfection. It's about intention. Even a simple routine, done consistently, rewires your brain for success. Over time, it becomes automatic, a rhythm that turns discipline into identity. You might think, I'm not a morning person. That's okay. Neither were most high performers at first. What changed wasn't their biology. It was their association. They learned that mornings are not about the clock, but about control. The earlier you take ownership of your day, the less chaos owns you later. Your morning doesn't need to look impressive. It needs to be effective. 10 calm, deliberate minutes of clarity beat an hour of distracted motion. When you control your mornings, you control your trajectory. Momentum compounds. A single focused hour at dawn can change the next 10 hours that follow. So tomorrow morning, before you let the world rush in, pause, breathe, move, focus, decide who you want to be today and act accordingly. Because every high-performance day begins with the same quiet choice, to start with intention instead of reaction. Conclusion: high performance isn't a mystery. It's not reserved for the gifted, the wealthy, or the lucky. It's a rhythm, a repeatable cycle of focus, energy, and recovery. Once you understand that rhythm, you stop fighting yourself and start flowing with purpose. This book has been about more than productivity. It's been about alignment. Alignment between how you think, how you move, and how you rest. Because the truth is, you can't separate them. Focus without energy collapses. Energy without recovery burns out. Recovery without purpose leads to stagnation. Only when all 3 are balanced do you enter the state of sustainable excellence. Let's simplify it. Focus is your direction, the ability to channel your mind toward what truly matters. It's learning to say no to distractions, to filter out noise, and to work with intensity instead of mere effort. Energy is your fuel, the physical, mental, and emotional vitality that powers action. You build it through movement, nutrition, purpose, and mindful breaks. It's the silent engine behind every achievement. Recovery is your renewal, the art of stepping back to rebuild strength. It's rest, stillness, reflection, and peace. Without it, focus dulls and energy fades. But with it, your performance becomes cyclical, rising stronger after every reset. This is the real secret of high performers. They don't chase balance, they create rhythm. They know when to push, when to pause, and when to repair. They don't live in extremes. They live in flow. If you ever felt stuck, burned out, or overwhelmed, remember this. You don't need to work harder. You need to work in harmony. You need to listen to your body's feedback, respect your mind's limits, and treat rest as part of the mission, not an escape from it. The modern world rewards visible hustle but punishes invisible discipline. Everyone sees the long hours, but no one sees the early nights. Everyone praises output, but few respect recovery. Be different. Build your days around energy cycles. Bursts of deep focus followed by intentional renewal. Because success is not about how much you can do in a day. It's about how consistently you can perform across a lifetime. One final truth. Sustainability is the new speed. Anyone can sprint for a day. Few can run for years. The ones who last are those who master the interplay between focus, energy, and rest. So as you close this book, take a breath. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Start small. Refine your mornings. Protect your evenings. Guard your energy like gold. And with every cycle, you'll rise stronger, sharper, and calmer. High performance isn't about intensity. It's about rhythm. And when you learn that rhythm, you don't just work better, you live better. At https://chat.com/c/687-3c778-7 #, text equals inclusion %20%, E2%, 80%, 94%, 20%, 20 high. You %20 live %20 better.